If you thought last week was our last online experience, you are wrong. That's right, I'm back for Waypoint Online. So let's get right into it with last week in Waypoint. Last week at Waypoint. So last week at Waypoint, what has been happening? It has been the new home Sunday first experience. That is all that has been happening this week. Prep has been non-stop. Amazing team of volunteers and staff and just kind of anyone who was available put in the hours and sweat of work and all those things. So many words, so many things, but some key highlights that happened. Dirk strained his calf. Marisha broke the world record for using the most brooms in one day. And Franco, our tech guy, was in Bloemfontein and not here. He went to visit his girlfriend. While we were glad for him at that stage, Franco, what's up with that? But not to worry, if you don't know any of those people, guess what? You can meet them every Sunday right here at our new home. So that is it from me, Tian Spies, for last week at Waypoint. Wow, thank you Tian for last week at Waypoint. What an amazing update that was. So, this morning at Waypoint, we launched and gathered for the first time at our new home. And we gathered for the first time since March. And we found it no better way to launch it than with our annual series Be Real, which is all about everyday people God uses to do extraordinary things. How amazing is that? Now this year we titled our Be Real series, Don't Settle for Being Christian. Now that phrase just doesn't sound right. I mean, that phrase sounds wrong. I mean, Tian, what are you talking about? Don't settle for being Christian? Isn't Christian what we're supposed to be? Isn't Christian what is asked of us? Now, you might be surprised to find out that Jesus never called us to be Christians. He only called us to follow Him. Now, if that has piqued your interest, if you are piqued and enticed, stay tuned. Like I said, with Be Real, it's all about everyday people God uses to do extraordinary things. And this week, we have Thurston Whittle sharing his story of trusting God and how God used him and him following Jesus. He's going to share his story with us. So stay tuned for Thurston Whittle giving us his story. Thank you, Wim.
The very first time I encountered what life is, I was about 9 years old and we grew up on a farm and there wasn't electricity and all you had there was a wooden stove. You had a tank for water, you didn't have running water, and I went to collect millistrongs for the cattle. And when I put the cattle down, a scorpion came out and it bit me on my foot here, a black scorpion. And we were told that time by my dad and all those, you must be careful for the black scorpion, it's dangerous. And I thought to myself, I'm going to die. And my foot eventually swelled up like that, and I couldn't walk on the foot. Eventually it burst open here on the side, and all the poison came out, and then and that's the biggest fright I've got about life and death. And then in many occasions, it happened on my years later on, that I was always in dangerous situations where I didn't know what to do, and the Lord came and He saved me, and I realized there must be something more serious in life than just being alive. I was about 19 years old, and I was carting water for the cattle, my dad's cattle. And we had a small pump on the truck, and we filled the drums with a pipe on the tanks. And the only way you could get that pump to start, you had to take the pipe and suck it. And it was so easy for us to do it, but this day And when I took the pump and I didn't want to start, I took it to my mouth and I sucked it. And when and you hear the engine, as soon as it pick up the water, you can hear the speed drop. So this time I didn't hear the speed drop and the water pumped into my mouth and my lungs. And I started to choke. I couldn't get breath. And eventually I just felt that everything gone. I could do nothing, and I fell over on my side. And I started sucking air through my mouth, and I could hear the sound that there's a blockage in my lungs. I was like, eventually it came better and came better. And the last time when I was still in school, we used to have a bus going down to Addo and backwards and backwards. We had a rugby practice after school, and we went to back, and the bus used to wait for us. And that day the bus didn't wait for me, it rode. And while that bus was on its way to Addo, at the crossing, another bus, the truck came past, they were carting oranges. He came at the back, and where I used to sit on the right-hand side of the back, in the corner. That was where I used to sit. Each kid had his place where he sat. He came and hit me on that place where I was sitting. But it hit the bus, a piece out of the bus, but lucky I wasn't there. The Lord protected me. And every time I can say, but God saved me. His helping hand was with me. But the biggest thing what came to me when I got a stroke, I was going to bed at night, and I felt my head wasn't quite right. There's a bit of a pain in my head and so on. And as I put my foot on the bed, to sit down, I told Magda I'm going to die. There's something wrong with my head, and I just fell over. When I came to my senses, I was in hospital. The doctor called Mom, and she said, and he told her, listen, your husband's not going to make it, he's going to die. And they came in and they prayed for me. The minister came in, he also prayed for me, and all the family prayed for me, and the congregation prayed for me. And eventually I came right, and I walked out of that hospital. But since then I had another stroke again, but later, and I had 3 strokes, and that was the first, and that was the beginning. All the accidents I had and all the things that challenged me. You say you don't believe in miracles, I believe in miracles. You don't believe God's alive, I believe God's alive. Give her complete over to Jesus. Mustn't think everything is plain sailing. Talk to Him daily. Bow your knees before Him and say, Lord, I surrender now, I surrender all. Come into my life and teach me. I want to follow you. I want to be obedient to you. What you've done for you, only you can do. You saved my life. You saved my life. You gave me a good wife. You gave me children. You gave me all. You gave me all. Everything, Lord. All is written on all this. But God. Follow Him. He receives all the praises and the worship and the thanksgiving. If everything I have and everything I've got wasn't for Him, I wouldn't have had it.
trying to fade into the faces. The girls teasing laughter is carrying farther than they know, farther than they know. But if we are the body, why aren't his arms reaching? Why aren't his hands healing? Why aren't his words teaching? And if we are the body, why aren't his feet going? Why is his love not showing them there is a way? There is a way.
The traveler is far away from home and sheds his coat, quietly sinks into the back row. The weight of their judgmental glances tells him that his chances are better out on the road.
But if we are the body, why aren't his arms reaching? Why aren't his hands healing? Why aren't his words teaching? And if we are the body, why aren't his feet going? Why is his love not showing them there is a way? Jesus paid much too high a price for us to pick and choose who should come. We are the body of Christ. But if we are the body, why aren't his arms reaching? Why aren't his hands healing? Why aren't his words teaching? And if we are the body, why aren't his feet going? Why is his love not showing them there is a way? Why is his love not showing them there is a way? There is a way. Jesus is the way.
Wasn't that inspiring? Wasn't that just leave you wanting more? Now, if that's you, I want to encourage you to go and download our Waypoint app right now, Waypoint SA, and you can go and listen to the full message of this morning on there. You'll find everything and more. Everything you need is on there, and it's free, especially for you. And also, if you want to join us on Sundays, right here at our home, go to Quicket. It's also on the app. Go and book your place on Quicket on Sunday mornings here. We would love to have you, love to share this place with you, and love to see you. All right, that's it from me for Waypoint Online. Guess what, guys? We are here every week. What? Didn't you, Tian? That's it. That's the end of our time together. I've been Tian, you've been you, and we've been loving it. See you next week.